y'all, this is Marty K. Hope everybody is well. Got a story that I want to share with you. It's not really a story, it's about it's a follow up to the affordable housing thing that I was sharing with you. That is also going to be linked to the economic collapse. Uh, and it's stemming from a comment that I got about, people trying to justify um, the investment in affordable housing opportunities. I have an issue with people making plans from the demise of others, especially when it's all orchestrated. And no matter what you think about what's happening, we know it's prophesied these things are going to happen. But just because they're going to happen doesn't mean that you have to be prepared for, to make money off of it. I think that is a very, very evil activity to engage in. I don't think nothing good is going to come to the people who do it. But in the meantime, we still need to talk about affordable housing because it is going to be tied to the no buy, no sell system. You're not going to be able to buy a house because you won't be able to afford it. You're going to have to rent. And so it's tied into that. You won't own nothing and you will be happy. And it's also tied to the mark of the beast. So you're not going to be able to access this stuff without giving away your soul. And because a lot of us in the Western nations are accustomed to being comfortable, we don't really understand all the ways that this system is collapsing around us, and it's going to make home ownership impossible. It's going to make maintaining what you do already own. If you own your home outright and all you do is pay taxes on it every year and maintain it, it could still be a situation where you don't own your house. Because if your homeowner's insurance is dropped, if you're dropped for whatever reason, say these insurance companies decide, oh, we don't want to insure people in this region because it's too much risk. What you gonna do? What if nobody else will pick you up because of the age of your dwelling, because it is out of code? So they're gonna find a reason not to insure you. Then you just have to hope for the best. If it's damaged, if something happens, whether it's natural or man-made, you're on your own. You have to have the resources to rebuild. And not only that, you have to rebuild within the new codes and regulations of your um, area where you live. And a lot of people are not aware of that. They've changed the regulations to where everything has to be storm resilient or this resilient or that resilient. And so you may not be able to rebuild. And so you may be forced to rent. You could be a victim of some natural disaster and you are dropped during, like you had homeowners insurance when you purchased your house. But say you've been in your house 7, 8, 10, 20 years and you have a 30-year mortgage and your insurance company decides to drop you because the price of insurance, the risk is too high. What do you do? Your mortgage lender will offer you insurance, but of course it's going to be jacked up. You're not going to know the actual price of the insurance. So if that's the only thing you can get in the insurance, the mortgage lender is going to insure you. Your cost is going to go up on your mortgage monthly. You didn't anticipate that when you initially went into this mortgage, and your mortgage rates are going up every year drastically. So what do you do when you can't afford your house anymore? Do you stay in it? Do you let it go? You could be in a situation where you have to abandon your property and go live in a rental. You don't know. Your children or your grandchildren or your great grandchildren may be in a situation where they are unable to afford a house because of inflation. So they may have to rent instead of buying, and an affordable housing option is an alternative for them. There are a lot of reasons people need to be concerned about affordable housing. And the fact that we've gotten so much pushback from the children of the corn over the years. Now this problem is getting ready to impact them too, because guess what? If you lose your job and you can't afford your mortgage or you can't afford your rent, you may have to relocate to another state. You may have to just move out of where you are and move into something that's affordable, because the housing costs in this country are going to be astronomical once the economy collapses. And it's not just here, it's going to be all over the globe, but especially here in America, because we don't, we're a capitalist society and the capitalists rule everything. So we're going to be out of luck, basically. They're going to run everything. And you have people like Morris Invest and Clayton Morris and his wife, who have dual citizenship in other places, capitalizing off of your downfall and assisting the World Economic Forum with their agenda. So they are a classic example of how people talk out both sides of their necks. And, while they do give you information on what's happening, they got inside information, because this information was published years ago. And here they are benefiting from it. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. And I'm not going to go through this whole thing. You'll have to read it yourself if you're interested. But I just want to put it on your radar so you will understand what I'm saying. I'm not talking about people who, when they get a mortgage, they have homeowners insurance. Of course, I know you can't buy a house without insurance. I'm talking about the people who own their houses, and then the insurance company comes up with all kinds of reasons not to insure people. Oh, you're not living in your house, I'm going to drop the insurance. Well, why would you do that? Nobody's in the house. The house is fine, but you don't want to insure it because nobody's living in it. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But that's something that an insurance company has said. My husband and I had it happen to us. So we had to get somebody to live in our house, even though we didn't want to be renters. We had to get somebody to stay in the house in order to have it insured, or run the risk of paying a mortgage, nothing happens, or something happens, and then not having the house insured, being a whole lot of trouble, having to, pay the mortgage off or pay for something that we couldn't, we got a loan for and we can't replace a dwelling. So there are all sorts of situations where you may have to um, be concerned about affordable housing. And it is because of all the things that are happening in our society now that we have no control over, including the weather. We talk about these frequencies and HARP and cloud seeding, chemtrails, contrails. There's a lot of stuff going on. You got CERN and earthquakes could be natural, but it also could be man-made. We don't know. But what we do know is we got to keep watch over all these things, because they will and can impact us or family members. So this is why I'm talking about it. And it is tied to the no buy, no sell system again. At the end of the day, everything is going back to this infrastructure that they're building. You ain't going to own nothing and you're going to be happy. And the reason you're going to be happy because they're going to kick our behinds left and right, up and down. And those of us who don't like to be uncomfortable, going to go right on back to the adversary systems and sign up to be in them and live good for a short period of time. But eternal damnation is a very long time to sell your soul for. So anyway, let's get into it. So this insight report is making affordable housing a reality in cities, not in the country, in the cities. And so it says cities, urban development, and urban services platform in collaboration with PwC. And this is June 2019. So this came out before the cough cough. And basically, this is a pathway to do what Clayton Morris was talking about in that video that I showed you, where he was talking about buying houses and renting them out to poor, unfortunate souls who need some place to stay but can't afford to buy. So he's going to buy it for you and provide it for you. Then he's going to lock you out of it because he's telling you all the ways he's going to discriminate. You got to have good credit. You got to do this. You got to do that. I'm going to check, going to check, going to check. Well, if the whole damn world is going to be thrown into chaos because of the economic collapse, who's going to have good credit? Who's gonna, so it's gonna leave a number of people out of the affordable housing market. And this is why I'm talking about this, because there's no telling what in the world is coming. But they have a plan for housing, and housing is one of the things that we need. They're going to control that, control the shelter, water, food, your basic human needs. And that's why they keep talking about basic human needs. So you're going to hear that constantly discussed in the few little things that I highlight here. Okay, so come on, move, 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 move. Let me see if I can get this thing to move faster. I don't know what's the problem. Okay, so the foreword. This is what I'm going to focus on first. So it says, a world in which only a few can afford housing is not sustainable. Everyone deserves a safe place to live. It can transform the quality of life of individuals and families. Well, people don't have a safe place to live now, thanks to Children of the Corn. So what makes them think they're going to be able to make it better the next go round? They're not. Today, however, most cities around the world are facing major challenges in providing safe and adequate housing for people, especially cities that are growing rapidly and where affordable housing options are limited. All those things, all those problems are created by the Children of the Corn. Even those who earn steady wages are unable to buy or rent affordable housing. Rent remains alarmingly high and out of line with incomes, forcing many to pay more than 50% of their income each month on housing. Key workers, pay attention to the slaves, teachers, police officers, firefighters, and nurses, cannot afford to live near the communities they serve, instead having to bear the cost in time and money of commuting. So they want to talk about this in a way that, it's going to get you to stop driving your car. They're going to put everything in one place so you'll be happy and close and don't have to drive. Control all aspects of your life. And the other thing is, if you go into these places, you're not going to be able to just have people just live with you all willy-nilly, because every place is going to have um, controls and monitoring. So they will know how many people are in your house at all times. They will know how many people came in and out of your apartment at all times. So it's going to be a very policed situation in the future. So it says finding solutions in a particular city requires a broader understanding of what constitutes affordability and fact and the factors that affect it. Ensuring healthy functioning of the housing market requires actions that address interdependencies on the supply side while stimulating interventions on the demand side. The Insight Report carefully analyzes each of these challenges for different stakeholders and provides them with specific recommendations to impact the city housing market in a city. So these people are using these nonprofit organizations and private foundations and things to work with governments to provide housing, financing, and development um, plans. So this stuff has been going on quite a while. And if you live in a place where you've been seeing a whole bunch of big old apartment buildings uh, placed, they are already working on the WEF's agenda in your town. So you are in trouble. You should be planning on leaving. So it says reforms are required at each stage of the housing value chain, from securing land, engaging local communities, to building and improving homes that are safe, resilient, and sustainable. A multi-stakeholder environment is needed to address calls for action from all entities involved: local, state, and federal government, private sector, and civil society. Notice they don't say nothing about citizens. These are everybody working around how they're going to corral you and police you and force you to do stuff. Cities must act to address affordability if they want to avoid a mass exodus of key slaves and other talented slaves. So I just replace individuals and workers with slaves because that's all we're going to be. Communities develop only when the needs of all residents are met. Ensuring affordable housing, affordable homes is a critical step in that direction. And this insight report provides a holistic perspective. It don't do that. But anyway, that's what they said. Notice all the children of the corn and the Confederacy that constantly works against us. Notice they don't be having us in on this stuff because we don't be wanting nothing to do with it. So I'm going to scroll down to this section next. So cities are increasingly realizing the need for action. In 2016, now listen, 2016, for example, Habitat 3 in Quito, which is in Ecuador, adopted the new urban agenda, which I had no idea what it is, but I'm going to show you what it is. Requiring states to promote national, subnational, and local housing policies that support the progressive realization of the right to adequate housing for all by 2030. So we got these subnational, international, local housing policies that basically tell you that we don't have any borders anymore. We are already a borderless society. The new world order is already here. It encourages an integrated and inclusive approach to housing that interlinks education, employment, health, and basic and social services through collaboration among communities, through governments, civil society, organizations, major interest groups, and the private sector, nationally, internationally, and regionally. Now, let me tell you what affordable housing means to the United Nations. So, the UN Habitat defines affordable housing as housing which is adequate, just okay, in quality and location and does not cost so much that it prohibits its occupants from meeting other basic living costs or threatens their enjoyment of basic human rights. So notice they say basic living costs and basic human rights. That you're going to be with the basic. They're not guaranteeing you nothing in excess of basic. You can have the basic, nothing more. So they have what a housing affordability is to them. And this is kind of what Clayton Morris was talking about. This is actually what he's doing. If you read this, he's one of the investors or the people who are getting in on building these affordable housing things before people actually need them. So whenever the chaos is over and we're looking for someplace to stay, we come out from our rocks and caves and wherever, he'll be there, Mr. Charlie, with keys to a house that you can live in if you got good credit and he likes you. So common challenges in a housing affordability is something that I want to talk about. And I want to talk about these demographic changes. So it says population growth, including, listen, migration, illegal entrance, especially of college students and key workers such as teachers and nurses. But they're really talking about these migrants who coming from these other countries, the cheap labor, because that's all they care about. And the aging population, they make a note to talk about aging. There's a lot of housing for senior citizens in this affordable housing thing, these plans that they have. So one other thing that I want to show you is this, the 20-minute neighborhood. So this is a 20-minute neighborhood, the concept as envisaged by Plan Melbourne. But, they dropped 5 minutes off of it. Now it's a 15-minute city. So in the 15-minute city, it says the ability to meet most of your everyday needs locally within a 20-minute journey from home by walking, cycling, riding, or local public transport, but not driving. Driving is not here because you ain't going to have no car. You're going to fix it where you can't afford to own a car. Okay, so in this darn 20-minute neighborhood, you will have local shopping centers, which is the whole concept. That's why we have shopping centers everywhere. Local health facilities and services, and look wherever they're building this stuff, just look at what they're putting around it. So this is how you know what they're planning, and then you just drive it. You can see, what they're doing. They have local schools, lifelong learning opportunities, local playgrounds and parks, all the things that they divested from in Black communities. They're going to give it to the other people, the migrants, and the chosen white peoples. Local playgrounds and parks, green streets and spaces, uh, community gardens so they can control your food, green spaces so that you can obey their agendas and they can keep an eye on you. Sports and recreation facilities, they got to make sure that they keep the slaves entertained and they know the slaves love their sports. They've gone from football and basketball to now going to play soccer and other stuff that the new generations, the new Blacks like. Safe streets and spaces, that's going to be more policing. If you paid attention to any of the federal legislation that has come out recently, has lots of money in there for community policing and emergency preparedness. Affordable housing options, which is what we're talking about. Ability to age in place, that's the housing for seniors and developing these communities where bunches of old people live together in basically subsidized housing. And they're going to be policed like crazy. Housing diversity, that's the mixed affordable housing. You'll have houses for single parents. There are going to be some people who are able to buy, who are allowed to buy. But again, if you buy in these Western societies, you never own anything anyway because they always tax you. So you don't own anything. So I'm just going to say everybody's going to be a renter. You'll have the condo styles, you have apartments. There are going to be all sorts of housing options. Walkability, because of course they don't want you to use fossil fuels and they don't want you to have a car because they want to control where you go and how far you go away from home. Safe cycling networks, they already got these bike lanes so you can ride you a bike. Uh, Local public transport. Those inner city buses that they're going to be able to remotely turn off, yep, you're going to be on those. Well connected to public transport jobs and services within the region. They're going to connect everything so that you can get your little slave self up and go to your little slave plantation, come back to the other part of the plantation where you live, get your government owned children, get your government green, Soylent Green snacks and bugs, and go home and watch your programming on television and on your cell phones. And local employment opportunities. No more commuting for you to better opportunities. You won't need to, because with your subsidized lifestyle, you'll just be selling for the bare minimum for work and you'll be exploited. So this is the plan of the hidden hands, and I want to share it with you because this is what Mr. Morris is going to be investing into. This is what he wants folks to invest in who watches his channel. So I wanted to share with you the urban agenda. It is from UN Habitat, the United Nations. Y'all see the all-seeing eye symbol and these little things right here. Rome. All types of symbolism. See the little person up in there. It's all kind of stuff, honey. All kinds of things. Anywho, what we are doing, developing interlinkages between global agendas. That's really all I should have to say. And I should be able to end the video, but understanding the range of interdependencies among the global agendas is key to unlocking their full potential, optimizing resources, and leveraging resource development outcomes at every level of government within the United Nations system and all across all sectors and stakeholders. UN Habitat is working to deliver this through creating a coherence among global agendas at the urban level, at the city, at the Black level, enhancing policy coherence and driving progress toward an integrated approach. Most of the reporting related to the new urban agenda draws on the system of indicators and data that are available from the 2030 agenda monitoring framework, um, are coordinated by the statistics division. So they are monitoring how we are making up, how they are making progress towards their agendas. So here, the high-level meeting of the General Assembly on the progress of the implementation of the new urban agenda took place in April 2022 to review progress of the implementation of the new urban agenda 6 years after its adoption at the Habitat 3 conference in Quito, Ecuador. So they have a quadrennial report. The Urban Agenda Platform. The Urban Agenda Platform is an online portal for sharing knowledge, monitoring, and reporting on progress to accelerate. There's that word again. Accelerate, go fast. They're speeding up the implementation of the new urban agenda to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. And this site is a one-stop shop for them to do, for them is whoever, local government, national governments, regional governments, developers, people like Clayton Morris, anybody can use these platforms. So it's why you can't trust nobody. You can't trust people. These doggone people, if they got, if they're not African American, even if they are African American, you can't trust them. You just can't trust them. City Prosperity Initiative. Cities have emerged as the focus for change and the venue where policies are realized. That's why you need to get your ass out of the city. Now, the Bible done told you to get your ass. Y'all need to get out of these cities. Now, I ain't going to keep telling you. You can stay where you want to stay and you can do what you want to do. But they're telling you what they're going to do. And I can't stress to you enough how important it is for you to get out of the cities. I'm just going to keep saying it while I can, but it's coming to a point where we're not going to be able to keep talking about this stuff. They have been able to forge new linkages among actors and offer innovative solutions with the potential to be part of national agendas and to influence regional and global development. However, poor planning, the absence of effective governance and legal frameworks, fragile institutions, the low capacity of local authorities, and the lack of sound monitoring mechanism, so they want to monitor what you do, diminishes the possibility to promote long-term sustainable urban development. Data and metrics enable cities to make correct decisions on the best policies to adopt and assist in tracking changes whilst systemically documenting their performance at the outcome level. This is fundamental towards achieving higher levels of urban prosperity and sustainable urban development for all. Everybody got it. It's just a bunch of mess, I swear. Too often, existing city data is not adequately detailed, documented, or harmonized, or worse, is simply not available for the whole host of critical issues relating to urban growth and development. Why is the world worried about what happens in the city? It's because this world is trying to take over everything. So This is how, again, you know that we are already in the throes of the New World Order. So the UN City Prosperity Initiative is a global initiative that enables city authorities as well as local and national stakeholders to identify opportunities and potential areas of intervention for cities to become prosperous. Its composite index made of 6 dimensions serves to define targets. Who sit around and think of all this mess? I don't even understand. It just gives me a headache thinking about it. So, anyway, I don't even want to keep reading it. CPI in more than 300 cities around the world. CPI has already been proven in more than 400 cities across the world as a monitoring framework. So, I guess we need to look at this. It has the potential to become the global architecture platform for monitoring of Sustainable Development Goal 11. So Saudi Arabia, Future Cities Program, Mexico has the Mexican Housing Bank, Egypt has a basic CPI, Colombia has priorities for sustainable urban development with 10 lines of actions in 23 cities. Brazil, Ecuador, Panama, and Peru, they expanded CPI. Um, and the study is concluded and action plans are being implemented for each city. Ethiopia. The Ministry of Urban Development, Housing, and Construction is implementing the CPI in 2 cities, Addis Ababa, Ababa and Mekelle, with an important component of urban resilience. And then Vietnam, Hanoi, HCM City, and Hai Phong, Da Nang, and Can Tho are part of the CPI in this country. The program aims to develop an urban observatory system for monitoring. So notice that if you're in these cities, they got something for everybody. Mayor fellowships, global funds, best practices, city global reports. So anyway, they have plans for us. They've been making plans for us. Baby, they've been making plans. I'm singing that Usher song if you don't know what I'm singing. I know I'm sounding terrible. I'm trying to make light of such a horrible situation, but I just wanted to point out when these people are talking about these rental things, investing in this rental stuff, they're talking about affordable housing. And it's a part of the Sustainable Development Goals agenda of the United Nations. Don't let people like Clayton Morris fool you. Understand what affordable housing is. Understand that we all need to be concerned about it because it is going to be tied to this no buy, no sell system. It's going to be tied to the beast infrastructure. So that's why I'm talking about it. I'm done talking about it. I'm going to put links in the comment section, not in the description, but in the comment section so that you can do your own research. I just wanted to bring you a little nugget to get you started. It is your responsibility to research all this stuff. Do not rely on me or anybody else to tell you about what's happening because we all have a responsibility to make sure we are aware of what the beast system is planning for us and so that we can counter it. The goal is to endure to the end. The goal is to not sell our souls. The goal is to not be marked, but be sealed. The goal is to have alternatives for the no buy, no sell system that is coming. So my suggestion is get you some tarps and tents, baby. Get you some tarps and tents. All right, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification so that you'll be notified each and every time I upload new content. Follow me on Odyssey, Rumble, Instagram, and on Facebook. The links are in the description. If you'd like to support the channel, my links to my coffee and my Venmo are at the very bottom of the description box. This is a labor of love. I do not get compensated for doing this work, and I don't have any sponsors, nor will I sign up for the YouTube partner program because I don't feel like it. I don't want to have any more issues with them folks. Lastly, keep prepping, keep praying, keep seeking the Most High. Obey those laws, statutes, and commandments. Make sure you keep the Sabbath. Learn about Sabbath because that is how the Most High determines who's marked and who's sealed. If you are in this world, you better come out of it. If you are in churches and going to church on Sunday, you better stop. If you are not aware and getting knowledge and understanding about what is coming, it is imperative that you do so because all these disasters, whether they're man-made or human, will impact us in one way or another. And housing is something that we need. We need shelter. It don't have to be a brick and mortar house, but you need something to cover your head to keep the elements off of you. And so my suggestion is everybody buy a tent or two or three and some tarps because in order to participate in this system, you're gonna have to do some things. You're gonna have to do some strange for some change. And we don't want to be those people. We don't want to love comfort or love money so that we are unable to live with the Messiah in the millennial kingdom because we have chosen temporary comfort and temporary what is perceived to be wealth here on earth. So keep watch, family. Keep prepping, keep praying, keep repenting, keep crying out to the Most High because that's the only way we're going to get out of this. These people crazy. They are crazy. The adversary is on a mission. He is accelerating his agenda. He's telling you he's accelerating your agenda. I mean, his agenda. It's not our agenda. It's his agenda. So we must keep watch and understand what's coming because we got to try to endure to the end. All right, this is Marley K. Love y'all. Sorry to keep having to bring this stuff to you, but I gotta teach y'all what to look for. It's a lot of stuff happening. This money is going towards affordable housing and all the components that will make up the new system. So we gotta stay on top of it, and this is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna talk about it. All right, this is Marley K. Love y'all, and I'm out.